Today's nugget is found in Acts chapter 20, verse 32. It says, "And now, brethren, I commend you to God and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified." God, I pray that you minister right now and that you have your way. God, I pray that as we're opening up the word, Lord, that we receive it in Jesus' name. Paul travels. This is basically a traveling chapter for Paul. He's traveling everywhere and he's not staying any one place too long. And as he's traveling, he eventually comes to a place called Troas. And when he comes to Troas, he's preaching. It actually says he was a long preaching. And that means that there's a lot of quantity, a lot of things that he's going through. It's not saying that the quality isn't great of what he's preaching. It's just saying it's really long and it's long into the night. And there's a man named Eutychus that actually falls asleep. And when he falls asleep, he falls out the window. Any of my friends from Bible college can tell you that I probably relate to Eutychus because I was almost asleep all the time, right there in the front row, whether it was preaching at chapel or whether it was an 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock class. But I relate to Eutychus in that while he was preaching, that Eutychus fell asleep and he falls out the window. People think that Eutychus is dead, and Paul brings him back from the dead. And his name actually translates to fortunate. I don't know if you knew that, but Eutychus' name translates to fortunate, and Eutychus ended up being very fortunate because even though he fell out the window and died, Paul was able to raise him back from the dead. As he's traveling everywhere, he's really wanting to get to Jerusalem by Pentecost. That's what he's purposed to, and that's what he's feeling from the Lord that he needs to get to. And he stops in Ephesus because he wants to exhort those that are there one last time. And he even tells them, this is the last time that you're going to see my face, because Paul knows that it's not going to be much longer that he's going to be here. That's why he's saying that Ephesus is the last time you're going to see me. He tells them, among many other things, he tells them in Acts 20:32, "And now, brethren, I commend you to God and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them which are sanctified." His purpose of what he's really talking about here is he's saying that my reward wasn't found in money. My reward was found in seeing souls that were saved in Ephesus. That's where my inheritance really is. That's where my blessing really comes, is just in seeing that. Ephesus, he preaches this to them a lot about, because he talks about it even in Timothy, when you had preachers that were in Ephesus that were trying to get gain from the gospel. So he's trying to let them know that, hey, you should not be trying to be a Christian because you think that you're going to get great gain from it. He wants you to know that your gain is going to come from God. Just living for God and his grace that he's given you, that's where your inheritance is coming. That's what your reward is. Yes, you will receive a reward one day when you get to heaven, but what he's trying to let them know is to not build up treasures on this earth, to not focus on what is on this earth. He wants us to have our mindset on really what our purpose is here for, is just to live for him. God, we love you and we praise you, and I pray that you help us, Lord, to allow ourselves to be built up in your grace, to allow ourselves to be built up in you, Lord, to not focus on trying to have gain or try to look at financial things that we're going to receive or benefits from it. But God, let our reward and let our blessings that we're looking for, let it all be just found in you. In Jesus' name.